I'll do it. Good morning, folks. Welcome back to a brand new episode of SMP Live. I am your host, Kennedy, and I'm so happy to be here today. I'm putting my comments on so I can talk to you guys right now. How are we this morning? I hope everyone's week is going good and everything's been good. I have to say, San Diego has gotten gloomy. It is cold now, and I kind of love it. I do love it. However, I miss the warmth just a little bit. But that's okay. We needed the change. The leaves are changing. It's all nice. So very excited for all of that. It's the perfect weather to stay inside and work on some projects for sure. So how are we this morning? Let me see. Ooh, Kim N. She's on vacation and she can watch us live. Well, I am so honored that you want to watch on vacation. That is amazing. I hope your vacation is going well. Where are you? Where is this vacation at? I would love to know. Good morning, Nilda. Thank you. She said my hair looks great today. Thank you so much. Hello, Marilyn, Gail Klein. Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you and talk to you guys this morning. We have a really exciting show planned today. One of my favorite brands and my favorite people are going to be on the show today, and that is with RNK and Floriani, Quilter Select, that whole crew, and Jennifer is coming on. They actually also got back from Quilt Market. So I can't wait to hear about all of the things that they did over there. Obviously, Quilt Market ended about a week ago-ish, and I know everybody's starting to trickle back and coming back to work and all of that fun stuff. So super exciting, and I'm definitely getting a little bit of FOMO that I wasn't there because seeing all the pictures and everything like that, oh my goodness. And we have our next couple of guests, they were also at Quilt Market. And so I've just been hearing the best stories. And so if you did go, let me know. I would love to hear about all of your stories. And if you guys got anything fun or checked anything out that was really exciting, I'd love to hear about it. Kathy said she was at the Houston show and it was fabulous. I love to hear it. I will definitely have to make a trip out there next time for sure. And Paula says she loves RNK. I love RNK. If you guys have been watching for a long time or you were here when I was doing Takeover Tuesday and all of those other shows, you know that I adore Floriani software and Quilter Select software. That is my favorite thing ever, and I've done a couple shows on it before. I love TCU, and I use it all the time personally on all of my projects and things like that. I love their software. It's so easy to use. It's super user-friendly, and it's really easy to pick up. So I'm very excited to show you guys some of the stuff that Jennifer's got in store for you today. But lots of things going on here at SMP. I know we've shown a few different quilts here over the past couple of weeks, but I want to highlight that we have tons of classes at our San Marcos store. So if you're at all interested and you're local and you want to start taking some classes, look at our class calendar and check those out. And if you are not local, we have virtual workshops happening all the time over on our website. So you can just buy those once, you buy the virtual workshop, and then you have those forever, and you have those recordings for as long as you want. And you can go back and rewatch them at any time. So if you are interested in those as well, you can go to the same page. All of our classes and events are on our website, so you can go check those out. I know our next virtual workshop, I'm so excited for. We've got it up on the website, and we also have a watch party going on, and that's going to be with Xandra Shaw from Embroider Shop, and she is going over the jumping technique. Now, we did do this. She did demo this. I want to say it was for Hoop Fest 2024, and she did the jumping technique where it looks, you can do an embroidery design of the back of someone's head, and it looks like hair. Like the thread turns into hair, and you can do ponytails and braids. It's so beautiful. And so definitely go check that out and sign up for that. It's great. I will definitely be watching. I love learning new techniques like that and just ways to make your embroidery stand out, and especially 3D embroidery. Oh, it's gorgeous. I love it. So definitely go check those out. Sharon said she is amazing. I love Xandra. She's awesome. And we have a whole lineup of amazing educators coming on, both locally here in San Marcos and then also on our website in those virtual workshops. So go check those out for sure. Also, I want to highlight again, if you are not in our Facebook group, we have an SMP Nation Facebook group. We started a couple years back and it has just grown exponentially. And so we would love for you to join. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see it right on there. You can just click the group page and join that, and we'll accept you in there and you can start posting all of your projects. SMP Nation has really taken that over, and it's an amazing little group, and I love looking at it every day. So very excited to have more people join and come on in. So those are my little announcements for this morning. Also, Kyle's not here today, but I do have Roger here, and I want to give him a shout out with our emails. So if you have not signed up for our emails yet and you want to stay in the know with all of our current promotions and all of our big savings, Roger is the king at getting you the best deals and all of that stuff and just keeping you in the know with all things SMP. So if you go to our website, there'll be a little pop-up and you can sign up for our emails. And also, I believe there's coupons in there too, right? There's always coupons. There's always fun stuff in there. And he also does giveaways as well. So lots of good stuff on our emails. Make sure you go sign up. I love how everyone's saying hi to you.
Hello, everybody.
I love the welcoming energy. It's great. Kyle is actually in Peru this week. He is on vacation, much deserved. So we hope he's having fun out there and checking it all out. So super, super cool. I have never been to Peru. I've actually never been out of the country. So we will have to go for sure. But with all that being said, again, thank you all for joining today. And just if this is your first time watching, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here, and make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification so that way you never miss out on another live that we do. You'll always get notified that we are going live and starting a show, but we are here every Thursday at 10 a.m. PST. So you know where to find us. YouTube, we're also streaming on Facebook. So check us out every week. I'd love to see you. Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and get started with today's show. I am so excited to have Jennifer on. She is just amazing when it comes to all things RNK, Quilter Select, Floriani, all of that. I love learning from her. So let's bring Jennifer on and see what is going on over there. Hello.
Right. Hello. How are we today? So I kind of like watch the comments coming in and do the whole thing.
I know they are up and awake this morning.
Yeah.
I even saw them. You know me, she's always one of the first people to comment, and she's on it, and everybody else just commenting, and they're so excited. I am so excited that you're here, Jennifer. First off, how was Quilt Market for you? How did that go? How was all that?
Well, you know what? I've been going to Quilt Market. I'm not going to even tell you for how long. And so it's almost like a family reunion when we go to market. So it's nice to reconnect with other people in the industry and meet new store owners and chat with designers, etc. So a little bit of what I'm going to share today is some of that behind the scenes and what's happening. And I did have the privilege of staying for the preview night of festival, which is a whole different energy. And it was amazing and actually really warmed my heart to see how many quilters and crafters and creators were out and about walking that festival show. So I got back in the office on Friday. I know the rest of our team that stayed through festival was just getting home on Sunday. And we are just raring to share all of the new products and the things that are coming. There are a couple of things that we'll look at today. Well, actually, several bundly things that we put together from what we came back from market with. That I know, Kennedy, it'll be like a couple of days before those go up on your site.
Yes.
But we're going to give you that sneak preview anyway, and encourage you to keep watching because they really are some phenomenal specials for you. And then one little tidbit that we're going to share with you that's really more about saving some money in addition to exploring what you do with your quilting.
Oh,
so I think we have 3 hours to chat today. Is that about right?
What was that?
We have about 3 hours to chat.
I wish I had you for a whole weekend. Oh my goodness.
I know.
No, we've got about 30-45 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away. I'll be back. Yes, I'll be back watching comments and just take it away. I can't wait to see it all.
Okay. So we're going to kind of go through a little bounce back and forth. And so the thing that I want to start with, because all of us, it's always fantastic when you can save some money, but also save some money in a way that helps you make the best use of your fabrics, your sewing time, and ensures that your quilts are going to be as beautiful as what you've envisioned by the time you get to the final thing. So I want to start by taking a quick look at the quilt that's behind me. Now, if any of you follow us on the official Quilter Select Facebook group page, and we should have thought about the length of the name of that group ahead of time, but it is what it is. So the official Quilter Select Facebook group page. This was a project that we stitched through together earlier in the year. And I want to share this particular quilt for two reasons. This was what I called our slow sew variation of the quilt. And in a minute, I'm going to show you the other variation of the quilt. Now, I mentioned and didn't tell you how many years it's been that I've been attending Quilt Festival and Quilt Market. And not only do I have the privilege of working here with Quilter Select and Floriani products, but I am a quilter and an embroiderer. So for me, right, it's a little double dipping, right? I get to see the industry side and also from the designer and crafter side, it's very inspiring for me as well. And so this particular quilt we took with us, we had it in the booth, and it's going to illustrate several things as we go through the new products that we have a look at today. This particular quilt, and for many quilters, one of the most challenging things that we do, or tasks, before we can even get started, is figuring out what fabrics are we going to use. Now that's assuming that we're starting with a quilt pattern of some type. And so on the official Quilter Select Facebook group page, we do ongoing quilt-alongs. And so we provide you with some inspiration and a starting point and tutorials on how to approach different quilting techniques. And so when we were stitching this one out, one of the places, or a place that we started, was by providing coloring pages. So this is the extended version of the quilt, and it is still in its flimsy state. It has not been quilted yet, but it is in essence the same quilt blocks. They've just been laid out a little differently. So down towards the bottom of this quilt, where unfortunately we can't quite see it, there are pieced blocks going all the way down. And those pieced blocks are the same blocks that appear in this version. And this particular version of the quilt features each block done twice using a different colorway. And as we all know, where we position and where we place color on a quilt makes a world of difference. So here's one variation, and this is done in what I refer to as the RGB, right, where we go from the oranges to the yellows, greens, sort of that rainbowy type of effect. So this quilt, same blocks, okay? Second variation of this quilt, the pastel version, same quilt, same layout, just a different colorway. There's one more. Each time we sit down and we get ready to stitch out or to plan out our blocks, there are a couple of ways to do it. We can A, sit down, start cutting, start stitching, and hope that we end up with a block that is what we had in mind. Sometimes that works. Sometimes we end up with a quilt block that's not quite what we had intended. And so I want to share with you, this is like a drum roll thing, Design and Quilt software, which is the Quilter Select software that Kennedy had mentioned at the beginning. This is, I feel like, a go-to tool for any quilter who wants to see what their project will look like using their fabrics, their blocks, the size they want, and the finished layout. And so I reach for this each time that I start a new project, whether it's a sampler project or whether it's one block that's being repeated over and over again. So in Design and Quilt software, you have a library of existing quilt blocks. You can create your own quilt blocks. You can create quilt blocks for traditional piecing like we have here, Or you can create quilt blocks that are meant for foundation piecing. Or for those of us that like handwork, you can also create foundation English paper piecing patterns using your Quilter Select software. Not only that, but you can scan in the fabrics from your stash. You can download fabrics from fabric manufacturer websites and import those into your library so that as you lay out your quilts, you're going to know exactly how that quilt is going to look when it's finished, right down to the scale of the fabrics. And if you are a fussy cutter, fussy cutting those fabrics as well. I still tend, when I'm working with my design and quilt software, not only to print my quilts out in the colors that I've selected, but I'll oftentimes go ahead and print out the black and white, or what I refer to as the coloring page for those quilts. And I do this for a couple of reasons. Sometimes I will print out a block, and as I look at it, something jumps out at me that I may not have noticed when I had that quilt in color, right? Different areas or different parts of the geometry of the block will pop in black and white as opposed to popping in color. The other thing that these are really handy for, if you have little people and you would like to get some additional sewing time in, I give the coloring pages to the little people and let them design quilts. So we get them started right away on that journey to quilting. Design and Quilt software is right now, with the kickoff of Quilt Month, which happens in October, in conjunction with Quilt Festival Quilt Market, right now is $199.99. With all of the fabric savings by not making a cutting error or a fabric placement error, this is well worth having at your disposal when you get ready to stitch. Another variation that I want to show you quickly, and then we'll look at some quilts and some how-tos. When we were stitching this particular project out, the bear paw quilt or block that we see here, there are a lot of different ways to experiment with that bear paw. And so I sort of got on a little bit of a bear paw tangent. And so I started in my design and quilt software by creating the block because I wanted it a particular size. Side note, if you have antique quilts and you would like to recreate that antique quilt, maybe it's something that an aunt or a grandparent or something that's been passed down through the family, using your design and quilt is a great way to recreate that quilt pattern and have all of the measurements at your disposal. So the obsession with the bear paw. So I started by laying it out and then moving different elements and segments around. So we have a variation that looks like so. But then I thought, what if we turned those little guys on point, right? Kind of fun. Now, if I were making these quilt blocks traditionally, meaning not using my design and quilt software, I would have to make a few blocks, start laying them out and playing with their placement to determine where I wanted to go with the actual layout at the end. So here's another variation. And this took about, 15 minutes of playing around with the blocks using the design and quilt software and just playing with layout, placement, and size. So once that first block was opened up in my software, I could adjust the size according to what the finished size of that quilt that I was looking for happened to be. Or in this case, actually I was working with a lot of scraps. So how much of the particular fabric at hand did I happen to have? And all of that started from just that base layout. So lots of tools there to help make your quilt making more effective, more less time intensive, and there are fewer errors that are made because you know from start to finish where you're going to end up. And what I neglected to say was this software currently, or prior to Quilt Market savings, was at a $3.99 price point in a lot of places. So again, $199.99, and that can be delivered to you electronically today by placing your order with Sewing Machines Plus. Now, for those of you thinking, but what else? Right? Is there anything else that was new and exciting, and how do I learn to use this program? We use the quilt blocks from the program, or create quilt blocks in the program throughout the stitch alongs on the official Quilter Select Facebook group page. So you can always get help there. We also have about 80 plus videos that are available for you to download. If you wanted to go and take a peek and see a little bit more about the software, they are available on the Quilter Select website for download and viewing. So you have lots of training at your disposal. Now, once you have created all of your quilts in your quilters and your design and quilt software, then what? What's next? What's new? How do I put them together? What do I do? Let me just move a couple of things here out of the way. You would just be shocked if you saw the back end of what's happening here. Okay, some of my favorite products. Well, actually, they're all my favorites, but for today, my favorite, right? It's just like our kids. We all have one or two that from time to time, they get to be the favorite depending on the day. Quilter Select rulers are known for that non-slip coating on the back side of the ruler. And our classic rulers come in that beautiful yellow tone. We've had requests for rulers that are clear, right? And so we have introduced over the last couple of months a line of clear coated Quilter Select rulers. We call these the Crystal Edition. Now, we initially introduced 3 sizes, and we'll take a peek at those in just a minute in the event that you hadn't seen them. But the newest ones are the 5-inch square and the 10-inch square. And so for those of us to quilt, we love working with pre-cuts. I love working with pre-cuts because it's a nice way to get a lot of fabrics all at once, and I can create a very scrappy looking type of a project, and that really appeals to me. And so the 10 by 10 and the 5 by 5 are perfect for working with your pre-cut fabrics, as well as working with fabrics in your stash and any of your scraps. If you've not seen this particular grouping of rulers before today, in addition to the 5 by 5 and the 10 by 10, there's also an 18 by 4.5 and an 8.5 by 18. Now, when this particular line, so you're going to get some behind the scenes, when this particular grouping of rulers was developed, we were thinking about travel and going to classes and going to workshops, but there's also a convenience factor when we're looking at different sizes of rulers. And the 18-inch is a nice size to put into a travel bag if you're going to some of those classes that Kennedy talked about that are taking place in store. Or if you are traveling for a workshop, if you are fortunate enough to go to someplace like Houston Quilt Festival and take classes. So these fit nicely in your bag. An 8.5 by 18 is a great size for cutting almost any starting strip set that you might need. So you can cut from your full 45-inch width of fabric. It fits in your bag nicely. Most of the time when we're cross-cutting, we're not cross-cutting anything that's larger than an 8.5. So it's also a great all-around in my sewing room ruler to have on hand. When we talk about convenience, if you are cutting smaller strips, you can certainly cut them, or more narrow strips, you can certainly cut them with that 8.5-inch ruler, but sometimes it's just a little easier to use a smaller ruler. So this guy is the 4.5 by 18. So same thing, we can cross cut that full 45-inch width of fabric, but my hand fits across the width of the ruler, so I can move it a little bit more easily around on my fabric. It's not as heavy to move around as a full 8-inch or 8.5-inch. So it's truly about convenience. And I would say your sewing time is probably in limited supply, as is mine. So it's nice to have all of the tools to make that time as rewarding as is possible. Now this is a ruler that I reach for, honestly, for every single project, that quilt block that I create, because almost every block that I'm stitching has either a half square triangle or a quarter square triangle involved. And for those that are a little newer, these are your half square triangles. Quarter square triangles are down in this area. And so they're just what they say. Just what they are described as. A half square triangle is a square made of 2 half triangles, and a quarter is a square made of 4 half triangles. When you're cutting half square triangles, oftentimes there's a bit of waste. And so with this ruler, there is no waste. We're cutting two sides. There's no trimming down that's required at the end. Your units will be, assuming we sew close to right on that 1/4 inch line, your units will come out perfectly. Now, on the back side of the packaging and also on the ruler itself, and this is true of all of the rulers in the Quilter Select line, there's a little QR code that will take you to a video that shows you how to use the 3-in-1 ruler. Or if you participate in the stitch alongs on the official Quilter Select Facebook group page, this ruler shows up pretty often. We do show you what I would call the traditional method for creating your half square triangles, and we also often show the ruler method as well. The other advantage of this 18-inch length is it is just the right size to go down through the diagonal on your 10-inch pre-cuts. So that's another convenience when we're working with this particular grouping of rulers. Now, I'm an I Want It All girl, and so you will see posted to SMP's page shortly a couple of bundles that are involving this group of products. There will be 3 different bundles. I'm going to show you Jennifer's favorite, which is the group we've looked at right here, plus a set of titanium rotary cutter blades. They're beautiful, but they're also functional. And when I am traveling, I'd like to have the travel size of rulers, and I like to have my board with me as well. This is a 14 by 14. He's not new, but it goes beautifully with the Crystal Edition rulers. He's new-ish. 14 by 14 cutting, and then a wool mat on the other side. Why do we want a wool mat when we are quilting or embroidery? The wool holds heat, and so when I'm pressing a quilt block, it's going to press down through areas that might have a little bit more bulk and keep that, help to make that bulky area a little flatter. So as an example, the center here is not super bulky, but you've got 4 pieces coming together. Here we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 pieces coming together where that seam is, because we've got half square triangles here. By pressing into the wool, it's going to help to flatten that out, and so your blocks will lay flatter. If for some reason your block's not as square as you would like for it to be, you can also pin into that wool and square your block up that way. And for those that do machine embroidery, if you place your embroidery side with the embroidered side, the pretty side down into the wool and press from the back side of the embroidery, it just gives it a finished look and feel. For those of you, oh, and one more thing, and then this is a non-slip silicone mat. I like it as a temporary ironing surface when I am traveling, but it also works beautifully as a non-slip surface. I'm sure that none of you have ever had any of your tools roll away when they're on your sewing table. If that's a situation that ever occurs, this is a great tool to use. If you do applique, it's also see-through, so you can put your pattern on the underneath, your fusibles on the top, gives you a place to be able to trace, but also to fuse layered applique shapes together without having to worry about it sticking to your ironing surface. So your fusibles will not stick to this. So this is a great bundle. I feel like, oh, I have notes. The savings on this particular bundle was it is about $100 savings on the bundle. So you'll want to take a peek at that. Now, I mentioned machine embroidery. For those of you that do machine embroidery and you are quilters, your Design and Quilt software also has some basic embroidery functionality. So if you wanted to create quilt labels to go along with your quilt using your Design and Quilt software, you can do that. If you have an embroidery machine, you can create the quilting motifs that go over the block so that you can position and know that your quilting motif has been customized for the quilt block that you're creating. If you are fortunate enough to have a long arm machine and automation, you can also create the files to be able to pantograph your quilt using your automated long arm. So how cool is that? So lots of additional functionality in here for you at the shameless infomercial low price of $199.99. Now, for those that do like to quilt their quilts themselves, and I am one of those people, we have a new set of machine quilting rulers that have just been released. And these are the line and curve, or this is the line and curve. So we'll talk about what they do in just a moment. The So Many Circles template and the curves and arcs template. Now, oftentimes I will use my design and quilt software to create what I'm going to refer to as the fancy pants designs, right? The ones that my long arm machine is going to quilt for me. I like to sort of pair that with some ruler work. There are some things that I prefer to do myself. And these rulers work with both your traditional or your what I call your domestic machine, your regular sewing machine, and they also are for use with your long arm machines. They have that non-slip coating on the back, which especially for a home machine, you're going to find invaluable. And then these little grippies, so it makes it easy to move it around, okay? When these were developed, because I do use them and I want to make sure that as much functionality is built in to make your quilting time more enjoyable, we think hard about what should be involved or what should be included. So the lines and curves, this is a ruler that I would say if you have never done machine quilting using rulers, this would be the place that I would start. Your machine quilting foot or your ruler quilting foot, the needle is 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the foot. And so if you're stitching in the ditch using a ruler, you need to know where to place that foot or where to place that ruler. So it has 2 little feet, and the 2 little feet sit on the edge so that your ruler foot will sit in just the right spot for the needle to drop into the seam line if you are stitching in the ditch. And then oftentimes when we're first getting started with ruler work, we like to have a few little curves. So you've got some little curves in here, you've got some angle markings so that as you're repositioning on your quilt, you are able to reposition the ruler in the same spot on each area of the block itself. So this is a great one to have. I would say the second one that I would pick up would be the curves and arcs. Its primary use is for gentle curving and gentle arcs, but it also has a little straight edge on each side, because what you will find is that as you are stitching your curves, there will be places where you're going to stitch a curve, but now you need to travel to another area of the quilt or another area of the block. And rather than tying off or stopping to pick up another ruler, you can then move to that straight part of the ruler to do that little bit of travel work and then continue your curving. So this would be the second one that I would pick up if I had to choose. And then we have these So Many Circles. And so you have 4 different arc sizes, as well as some angle lines and some straight lines so that you're able to reposition that ruler at equidistantly from the row of stitching that you've just done. All of these rulers, these 3 new guys, you need a place to put them. So there will be a special coming up with the ruler holder, and it is sized for your 6mm long arm rulers or quilting rulers. And then it also includes your 60mm rotary cutter. Why the 60mm? Because when it comes time to trim your quilt down, you are going to love having that additional size to the blade. If you've never worked with a Quilter Select rotary cutter before, the 2 things that I would like to point out, 3 things. One is that it is made for a right or a left-handed quilter. Whichever hand you use, you'll pick up your rotary cutter with that hand. We're going to press the button to start the release, and then once we start moving the blade, we can let go. That's just to drop the blade. So that's kind of one feature that's really nice. The other is the weight. You will notice when you pick up a Quilter Select rotary cutter that it has some substance to it. And I sort of equate that to either jewelry or to other tools, high-end tools, right? You want something that has some substance. The third, and it also helps to move the cutter through the fabric without you having to put a lot of pressure or strain as you're cutting. And then the other really nice function is the magnetic pin in the center of the cutter. So when it's time to change your blades, you don't have to worry that that blade is going to go flying off somewhere. It's going to stay connected to that center pin. So it's very easy to change the blades on your rotary cutter. Now, when I am ready to create my quilt, and I have created it in my Quilter Select software, the other thing that is very helpful to know is what do you need to cut? So we can design our blocks, we can color our blocks, we can use blocks that live in the software itself. We can create the quilting motifs for the quilt. We can create our quilt labels, but it will also generate the information that you need about the yardage, how to cut. It'll provide you templates if you like to cut by template. It will also provide you rotary cutting information, and all of that lives in the software. How amazing is that? All right, I have one last grouping of product to share with you. How many of us love to have just beautiful tools and items in our sewing spaces? I know everybody's hands went up, right? So this is just a beautiful grouping, and when I'm not actually stitching in there, I do like to arrange them so that it's pretty and I can walk through and dream about the next opportunity that I have to go into that sewing space. We meet a lot of people when we are at shows and markets. And about a year ago, we met the most delightful fabric designers, and it's Poppy Cotton Fabrics. And Lori and Gina are the driving force behind Poppy Cotton. And we worked with them to create a line of, can we see them well, of pink rulers, right? Because everything is better when it's pink. There is a 3.5-inch Poppy Cotton ruler, 3.5-inch square. There is a 6.5 by 12. There is a 12.5 by 12.5. And there is a 6.5 by 24. Again, with that non-slip coating on the back side of the ruler so it doesn't go anywhere. You have your markings in 1/8-inch increments, very finely printed lines so that it's easy to be more accurate because your fabric is not hiding under a big thick line. Your most commonly used angles. Now the rulers were a project that we had started with Poppy Cotton. They released and they were gone suddenly. They were so very popular. So we thought we need to expand on what we're doing with the Poppy Cotton group. And so we are introducing a Poppy Cotton rotary cutter. Now I promised Kennedy that I would hide. These are not actually in the warehouse yet. I have a very few that we had at Quilt Market. And so I'm hiding a small quantity of them for the Sewing Machines Plus viewers today. So you want to be watching for the announcement when you see this go up. It's pink. It's beautiful. Full disclosure, I've put a titanium blade on this one because it matches and it's beautiful. I think the grouping that we had might have the titanium blade with it, so you'll want to take a peek. Same weight as the traditional Quilter Select cutters, the same right and left-handed use, that same magnetic pin in the center, and it's just beautiful. But wait, there's more. Because if you're using those pink rulers and a pink rotary cutter, you probably will want a pink mat. So here is the 24 by 36-inch Quilter Select Poppy Cotton mat. If you're familiar with the Quilter Select mats, you may be aware that they're double-sided mats, meaning I can cut from both sides. So we have the traditional markings on the front side. We have, a beautiful graphic on the back, so you can buy yourself some flowers and look at them every time you go into your sewing space. There are lines as well and markings on this one. They don't go through your bouquet, so you have that to just look at and have a beautifully put together sewing space. So this is also brand new. Now the rulers and the mats just arrived in the warehouse while I was at market. As a matter of fact, the cutters will be here shortly, but I have the few that I have hidden away for you. Last sneak peek. Now, for those of you who like to stitch along, no one has seen this yet. You all are the first to see it. And I'm going to kind of hold it back just a little bit. So I know it's going to be not a dynamic and full-on view. It's sort of a teaser. So with our stitch-alongs on the official Quilter Select Facebook group page, I created, this one will show up pretty well. I created a new sampler using my Design and Quilt software. And so when we start this particular sampler up, which will be after the first of the year, we will be taking a little journey into Design and Quilt so that we can look at how each of the blocks was created. So if there's something that, a technique that you prefer, as an example, I joke that flying geese units or flying goose units are my least favorite, and this was partially true. My least favorite unit to make, right? So your flying goose is, your rectangle with your two little guys here. And so I would take any block that had flying geese into my Design and Quilt software, and I would cut it in half so that it was two half square triangle units. Because for me, that construction was a little easier. So those types of editing things are things that you can do in your software. And we'll talk about those as we stitch through this sampler after the first of the year. And I'm probably going to make at least one variation of our sampler using these beautiful poppy cotton fabrics, which are due in after the first of the year. So that's a little sneak peek. Something that you won't see in stores or see anywhere else for a little bit of time, but I wanted to share that one behind the scenes with you. So Kennedy, I feel like I've kind of sped through that so we could get in as much information as is possible, which also means I didn't look. Do we have questions, comments, thoughts? How can I be of additional value this morning?
Jennifer, you did a great job. I love all the new products and all the sneak peeks that you did. There actually is requests of doing a purple. So with the pink poppy cotton products, they are asking for purple. But personally, I love the pink and I love the graphic on the back. It is adorable. And I love that rotary cutter. And my favorite rotary cutters are Quilter Select. They are so great and they last forever.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and Gina and Lori actually inspired me. This is a true story. I have painted my sewing studio pink so that everything is all very color coordinated. The teal looks great with the pink. The poppy cotton looks great with the pink. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I love it. You'll have to send a picture so that way we can show us the nation. Oh my gosh. I would love to see your sewing room. That is amazing. But yeah, I just wanted to show everyone, Design and Quilt software is such a user-friendly software to really help you plan, construct, and really design your quilts and just bring it to life. And it is so easy to use and it is so helpful. I've actually used it a lot for quilt labels and it makes it just super simple, super easy. You can design your blocks if you're ever needing that inspiration. You can really go crazy and get creative with it and try different things. So I love Design and Quilt and I love all of the samples that you showed as well. It really shows how much you really can do with that software.
Yeah, it's pretty invaluable. And if you think about the cost of a pattern, a single pattern, and the fact that even if you never created your own blocks, if you just used the blocks that were in here and then you started altering their sizes, it has paid for itself over and above.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, and especially the price that it's at today, that $199 is just insane. And it's such a great value and it will really last you forever and you can take it with you for years and years to come. It is amazing and I just love it. It's great. It's awesome.
Me too.
Well, all right, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us about all of these new exciting things. I cannot wait. I'm going to show everyone how they can get their hands on all of these and we will see you so soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. All right, you guys, let me show you what we've got in store for you today. So we're going to talk about that Design and Quilt software there. So how you can get your hands on this, if you go ahead and just give us a call, 1-800-401-8151. That is where you'll be able to get that special price today. So call in and make sure you get your hands on this software. I'm telling you guys, if I were to suggest one software, of course, if it was embroidery, it'd be a different story. But if this for any quilters out there, if I were to recommend one thing for you, it would definitely be this design and quilt software. It is so user-friendly. It is great to have as your sidekick when you're designing quilts. Like Jennifer said, we pay for a lot of patterns throughout the years and we keep them, we save them, but Design and Quilt keeps everything all in one spot. It is great. And you can also use it for quilt labels and, piecing things together and color coordinating and figuring out what you want to do, figuring out what stitches you want to use. It is great. It is an amazing product. I highly recommend. Now, all of the other products that she did show today, they are also on our website. So if you just go to SewingMachinesPlus.com and you type in Quilter Select, that will take you to all of the products that we were talking about today. And that way you'll be able to go ahead and shop. But that design and quilt software, definitely the highlight of today's show. If I were to recommend one thing, it would be this for sure. So make sure you call in 1-800-401-8151 and you will be able to get your hands on this amazing software. It is the best. And if you are at all, you hear the word software and you're like, I don't know, software can be a little tricky and there's, you're like software with quilting. Trust me. It is so worth it. And it is such a great tool to have at your side when you're working on these quilts, and it just speeds the whole process up. So highly recommend it. Give us a call, 1-800-401-8151, and get your hands on that design and quilt software and let me know what you think and let me know what you guys create with it. So very exciting. I love that Jen came on and talked to us all about Quilt Market and showed us all the cool stuff. I cannot wait to see her sewing room. I will be getting a picture and we will share it in the Facebook group for sure. And I cannot wait to see her pink sewing room. Who wouldn't love that? All right, you guys, it is time for some giveaways. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's get our little music bumping up in here and let's start off with a $25 gift card. So we have got this here. I am going to go ahead and we will spin. I'm going to let Roger do the honors and we're going to see who's going to win this $25 gift card today. So Roger, spin the wheel. Spinning is winning. And if you do win this today, let us know what you're going to get with your gift card. I can't wait. Vicky Payne, congratulations. You have just won a $25 gift card to Sewing Machines Plus. If you would like to claim that prize, head to SMPlive.tv, fill out that information. The most important thing that we need with that gift card is your email. So make sure you head over there, fill out that form, and just make sure your email's in there, and we will get that sent out to you. If you fill out the form today, I'll get it sent out to you today. So Vicky Payne, go ahead and claim that prize and we will get you that gift card shortly. All right, our next giveaway, we are going to do our iconic world famous sew mats. Now we have tons of different colors, sizes, and patterns on there for you. So if you are the lucky winner today, you'll have to pick out what color you want, what color and what size. So Roger, go ahead and spin that wheel and we're going to see who's going to win this sew mat today.
Congratulations, Dawn.
Dawn, congratulations. You have just won an SMP sew mat. So if you'd like to claim that prize, head to SMPlive.tv, fill out that form. With this form, with the sew mats, we will be shipping this to you. So make sure you got your address in there and let us know what color and what size that you want. And we will get that shipped out to you ASAP. Congratulations, Dawn. Woohoo. Guys, what a great show today. I just loved this. We had a great time with Jen, learning all the new stuff. I loved all of her samples as well. Her quilts are just gorgeous and they're beautiful. And I love seeing all of the things that she has in store for us. And Quilter Select always does an amazing job at bringing the best products to you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you guys next week and I will see you guys later. Bye, guys. Have a good one.